All right, guys, we are in our pre-show. 5 minutes till we go live with the real show. You guys will see on the screen here, Pantheon PlusYou, how to join our Discord. You can do the Discord joining now in the description of the video and YouTube because we're smart and we added that to make it easier for you. Or you can go to pantheon.plus and click join Discord in the top. If you're in a small screen, you have to click the little hamburger menu in the top right. It's a little hard to see. It's dark. If you're in a full screen, it's easy. It says join Discord real big. Leksur, welcome to the pre-show where we're hanging out like it's backstage being all cool and everything.
Well, does it diminish the value of it if I say I used to work for a recording company, so I've been backstage a lot?
No, I used to be a lead singer of a band, so I was backstage too. Usually drunk, because that was how I got on stage.
Funny side story, one of the reasons I stopped being an alcoholic was because I partied with the Misfits.
Oh, we have a bit of an echo. Do you have me muted? Make sure to mute yourself in Skype. What's up, Dr. Sinister?
Yeah, it's muted.
Do you have the YouTube channel muted?
Yes. And I'm on a headset.
That's strange. Is anybody else getting an echo? Dr. Sinister, are you just messing with me on the echo? Or are you just hearing the crowd sounds in the background because I'm a nerd? Is anybody else hearing echo? Because I'm not seeing that as a thing right now. All right, Dr. Sinister, sorry, my man. Maybe refresh. Or do you have it open twice? That would be funny. He's got it open twice. That's my guess. No, I'm just kidding.
That'd be hilarious.
What's up, Cerulean? What is up, Hussam? Am I saying that right? Hussam. I don't say names right, so nobody can ever take offense. It is on record that I don't say names correctly. But Leksur, I've never misspelled yours.
No, and funny enough, a streamer friend of mine from way back, he still to this day cannot pronounce my name right. He's called me Leksur, Leksur, everything but. And he's done it sober, he's done it drunk, so it's not like he's trying to misspell it.
Nice. Okay, a refresh fixed it. Awesome, thank you, Doc. What's up, Battle Axe? Leksur, I like that. If you ever leak something you're not supposed to, I'm calling you Leksur.
I'm only a few years off, so I'll get there.
No, that kind of thing.
Unless I start buying the pens.
You're gonna have to for long streams.
That's right. I was gonna say I'm gonna invest in the company anyway when Pantheon comes out.
That's awesome.
I'll walk away a millionaire.
That's fantastic. All right, everybody, one more time. We'll go live here right at 9 o'clock, so we got about 2 minutes. So thank you, Aaron, Turin. I think we hit everybody up there. Battleaxe, Cerulean, Dr. Sinister. Yeah, I think that's everyone so far. So first, thanks everybody for coming. And if you are new and just kind of lurking right now, you can join the show live by jumping into our Discord. And there is a voice channel called Green Room that's right under the live room that you may see me and Leksur in. And if you go in the green room, that's kind of you saying, hey, I want to come on the show and tell my opinion on this. You guys will be able to adjust the meter and go through everything there and be a part of the show, give us your thoughts, bicker with myself and Leksur, so it should be pretty good. And also, thank you guys for coming through on a holiday tonight. Halloween. I should have totally decked this stream out for Halloween, but...
I'll actually go in costume, I'll smile, and I'll be dressed as someone who gives a damn.
I was going to say, I'm going as a pretend competent host tonight. How's everyone's volume for Leksur and myself? I adjusted mine quite a bit. Last week was a little goofy. It turns out that Windows did one of those, we're just going to turn your mic up to 100 again. Just we're going to do that randomly. We did an update, so your mic is mic's full now.
Yeah, I learned the hard way. Every time there's an update, double check your settings.
Yeah, it's like something seems weird. I was watching my meter spike and everything. Awesome. So we got 1 minute left, Lex. We're going to go ahead and pop this in. Again, guys, if you want to join the show live, go ahead and jump in. Tonight we are talking... Well, I'm not going to spoil it. It's part of the show. Unless if you can't read. So, okay. So that's it. It is 9 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and launch the show. So here we go. Viewer warning.
Oh, we're live? We're streaming right now? Cool. Awesome, man. Let me just,
Hey everybody, and welcome to Pantheon Plus, episode 11. We've done this 11 straight weeks. It's crazy. It doesn't feel like it's been that long at all. And Lex, you were actually on one of our original shows with Yarn. You guys were both on this, so.
I think I've been on, this would be my third?
No, you were on something else. What were you on? It's been so long. We have definitely done a lot together. I think we did some other videos together, and I've been on your show a couple times. We've been on the community stuff. So everybody, welcome to episode 11. I want to thank you guys. We have really been having awesome viewership as of late. We've also really been thankful to have VR stop by the show, answer some questions in chat, announce themselves to the world. I guess they were lurking from my understanding and didn't want anyone to know they were here, but they had that courage to say, hey, we'll say we're here, and I appreciate that. So that was nice of them.
We don't want them to know we're here. Well, too bad.
Yeah. So we're talking about tonight. We're going to go into detail here about evil races in MMOs. And I promise I didn't plan this remembering that it was going to be on Halloween, but that kind of works out pretty cool that we're doing evil races, evil on Halloween. It's kind of neat. So, Lex, a lot of people know who you are. You've been on the show before. But before we jump into the topic and we start ranting and raving about our thoughts on this topic and we start pulling everybody in from the green room, what's going on with you right now? Tell everybody a little bit about what you're working on, either independently or with VOT, and how people can find it. So what's been up with you?
Okay. Where to start? Co-host of the Voices of Terminus show.
I think I voted you as the host with the most.
Damn, Skippy. It's the only way to vote. You're not welcome back in my book.
Last time you were on my show, Yarn was watching and keeping you. He said he was keeping you in check, but I don't think he's here tonight.
I tend to have a bit of a potty mouth, and I tend to say stuff without thinking first.
Nice. What's up, Micah?
But the one thing you can count on is that when I say something, there's a good chance I mean it.
There you go. So what are you working on other than VOT? I know you're doing some stuff, so maybe that's why I'm saying that.
I've got probably 15 independent projects on the go, all the way from Defend the Night. I'm not going to plug that here, not the place.
Hey, listen, you're allowed to do what you want. You're on my show. You're a co-host. This is your time to shine.
This is a Pantheon show, but I will say, yes, I'm currently a designer for Defend the Night.
And hey, we talk about a lot of different MMOs here because, it's safe to say that there's not a ton of Pantheon content out there. So when we talk about MMOs in general, I think we tie it into Pantheon, but I think that a lot of us are MMO fans of some sort. Right. So no, awesome. Defend the Night. How's that going for you? I mean, you've been on the team now for how long?
Probably 6 to 8 months now.
Awesome.
Cause I know, actually no, maybe closer to 10. Cause I was on the team unofficially for quite a few months because of my association with Pantheon and the Voices of Terminus. I didn't want to bring attention away from Pantheon.
Yeah, I understand.
But now that Pantheon's in a really solid place, I felt like it was time to be like, stop lying to the people. Yes, I'm a part of this thing.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like I said, at the end of the day, we all jumped on. Yeah, of course. I think, but at the end of the day, like I said, we're MMO fans first, right? None of us can play Pantheon. We sit here, we talk about it, we theory craft about it, we talk about what we want in a game. None of that exists without the MMO culture. So being a part of it, I think, is really cool. I think if anything, it adds credibility to some of your points. My personal opinion. So
that's a matter of opinion, but I will say, Defend the Night probably. I wouldn't have had the opportunity if it wasn't for Pantheon, because without Pantheon, I wouldn't be part of the VOT show. Mm-hmm. Without the VOT show, the developers of Defend the Night wouldn't have seen my opinions and ideas, and they never would have approached me. So,
well, there you go. You're also working on solo streaming, aren't you?
I'm working at getting back into streaming. My streams were all about interactivity to the max.
Yeah.
I had the ability to let viewers do stuff like disable my keyboard, slow my mouse down, send random input to my mouse. And now I'm taking it a step further, and I'm going to try with my next go-around, I guess, to allow viewers also to have limited control over my OBS setup.
That's going to be pretty fun. We were talking about that, so you guys will literally be able to mess with Lex. To catch everything from him, Lex, your Twitter handle is not Leksur. It's at
Hydraic. Hydra with an IC at the end.
Yeah, so follow him on there. You can see when he solo streams some of the news about Defend the Night. You can also, find him from the VOT. He comments on there. You can find him in the comments from the VOT post. So
wherever there's smack talk to be had, you'll find my name somewhere.
Okay, so are you ready? We're going to jump in. I have one announcement to make, and then we're going to jump in.
I was born ready.
So announcement, if anybody hasn't read the newsletter yet, they changed the Pantheon official stream from Wednesdays to Thursdays. That happens to be the day we do our show, but hey, no problem. There's all kinds of time in a day. We can make both work. Oh, no, they're going to be doing it at 9 Eastern. Hey, that's when we start. So we are tossing around the idea to make it easier for you guys and not have to worry about shifting to possibly move the show. So in the chat tonight, let us know what you think. We put on Twitter at Pantheon Plus, we put a poll up about moving it possibly to another day. Let us know what you might like, what you can attend. Or what we're thinking is maybe, since it's only every other week, we stick with Thursday, but the first half hour, because that's about their target range, you'll see on the Pantheon Plus channel, you'll see the newsletter live streaming, and then we just kick right into the show, which a lot of people seem to be liking that. So let us know in the chat what you think, if you agree with that, if we should move it, what's easy for you guys. I'm flexible. I just hate to toss this show all around because it has been 11 weeks. We've been pretty stable, but I think that you guys could come chat in watching their stream on our channel. We'll have some info about what the show is going to be about around it and a cool interface. Then we just jump into the show and keep it going. So got to get those hot takes. I'm going
to be honest. Yeah. Going straight from the newsletter to a proper show is probably the best idea because everything's fresh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And that's true. Everybody says it's one day a week to really have to focus on, well, hey, they're couple days a week. We got to watch VOT on Saturdays, right?
I don't know why, but okay.
So
we're almost up to 200 episodes.
Yeah, right. That's a good reason why we're at 11, and I'm like, wee. Yeah. But yeah, so we're tossing around some ideas. VR is okay with other content creators streaming it. I don't know that we're going to sit there and do reaction. We'll just probably put it up and then be in chat with you to talk about it. We don't want to be annoying. And then we'll jump into our show. Our show will probably be pre-planned with a topic, but if something really big happens, we'll go into the newsletter. I'm not really all about like just having a follow-up to the newsletter every time, unless people really want to talk about it. So it's going to be a work in progress. It is every other week. I mean, who knows? So just so you guys know, we're not going anywhere, and we'll either move to probably Wednesday or we're going to stay on Thursday, and I will let everybody know via Twitter. So follow us on there or just sub to our YouTube channel and hit the notifications button because that'll tell you when we go live. And I'll be annoying about it. If you aren't in our Pantheon Plus Discord, I'll find you somehow. So annoying is not difficult for me. Okay, so all the business is out of the way. That only took 8 minutes. We got your hype in. We talked a little Defend the Night. Talked about your stream. We got your Twitter plug out there. We got the show movement out there. We're talking about the newsletter. It's showtime. And why did I have Leksur on tonight? Well, because our topic once again is evil races in Pantheon. So a couple things here. First of all, the topic is, what do you expect from it? So we're going to do a few things. We're going to talk about what you expect out of the Pantheon races. I want to hear stories for those of you that have played MMOs before as an actual evil race, and we'll get into that. But then the meter tonight is, are you going to play an evil race? So if you're definitely evil, that's at the top. You maybe are going to play evils in the middle. And the bottom rank, which I have on the screen, is Purge the Evil Scum. For all of you holy knights out there who will not play evil. So we'll adjust that meter up and down quite a bit right now. So as Chris Kane just said, in the Pantheon Plus Discord, there is a live channel underneath us to chat in, talk in. That's called the Green Room. Now, the Green Room is where we will pull you into the show and also where Chris Kane will berate you and make you talk and discuss different topics. It's a fun time. So if you want to jump into that Green Room, you want to be on the show tonight, please jump in there. You can talk with me, talk with Lex, or just talk to the community about what you think. The Green Room is wide open. So
Chris is an absolute joy to talk with, even when he's 3 sheets to the wind. And if you don't go in there, you are seriously missing out.
Especially when he's 3 sheets to the wind.
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay, so Lex, I'm going to go ahead and take over the screen here. As is customary fashion, I'm going to go in on my details for Evil, and then I'm going to toss it over to you. So here we go.
Yeah.
So here's my experience in Evil races. I will tell you that 90% of the time now, as me currently in the current MMOs I've played, I stay away from anything that's ugly. And that isn't the same thing here as Pantheon. You know, in EQ is really the only time where I've played an MMO where I felt like there was actually true evil in the game. And I want to explain that a little bit and go into it in detail. So in WoW, I played Alliance, I played Gnomes, Humans, mostly. You know, when they put in the Void Elves, I was super into the Void Elves. And for the most part, I really didn't have any desire to play Horde at all. The only Horde that I thought about wanting to play was probably the Blood Elves, because I wanted to look like an anorexic rock star. Right? right, Lex? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and when they made the Void Elves, I'm like, oh, cool, I'm an anorexic rock star, but I'm blue. I'll settle for that. That's okay. So that WoW's not evil. WoW is two factions, and one faction looks evil, but playing in a faction isn't what evil is in an MMO to me. And I don't want to sound elitist when I say this, because I know that there's some of this out there that says EQ is not the only MMO. There's fans out there that didn't play EQ that are going to play Pantheon. I 100% agree with that. I have no problem with that. But in my opinion, unless you played EQ, I don't think you know what it's like to truly be an evil race in a massive world. And there's probably more, and you guys, that's why you need to come on the show and talk. So let me get into that. I actually started, my first character in EQ was a Dark Elf Wizard, and that's the one I played almost all the time. And Dark Elves were evil. You really only got to kind of hang out with the ogres and trolls, if I'm not mistaken. Someone can correct that in original EQ, but that was about it. And your town was, you know, dark underground, and you kind of had to go back into that area if you ever wanted to bank or do anything like that. And that's the thing about being evil. It's not just your character and your RP sense, but the world hates you unless you're in your civilization. And I like that. It creates a different aspect of the world. And I enjoyed it as a Dark Elf. And I had alliances as a Dark Elf. But I will tell you that playing an Ixar monk, which I spent ages playing, probably a lot more than the wizard once I switched over. Now that's what being evil is all about. As an Ixar monk, for anyone who didn't play, or an Ixar in general, everybody hated you. The bad guys hated you. The good guys hated you. Some Ixar hated you. Some of your own people hated you. You were an absolutely hated race. And here's what's interesting about that. And I think we're going to see a little bit of that in Pantheon, particularly with the Scar. I do think, I mean, again, Lex, I'm going to give you a minute here and you can go off and talk about this. But I got into a debate today in Reddit. We post our pre-show on Reddit if you haven't been on there. So we do the day before our show, we post what it's all about, how to get to it, and that kind of thing. And there was someone on there, and it was a great discussion. It wasn't negative at all. And a guy said, I really don't like this whole evil versus good race thing. He said, in our modern society, you can't just label an entire race as evil. There's good people and you should be able to do this and that. And I asked him, not in a rude way, but I said, have you ever played EQ? That was my first response. And he said, no. And I said, okay, hear me out, because I'm not trying to talk negative to you because you didn't play EQ. But here's the thing. If you play an evil race because they're our faction, then you can change that. If you want to, it's almost like a game within a game. And that's what really, one of the best experiences I ever had was being an Ixar monk, because I grinded out a broken quest. This is kind of cheating. You could use a sneak ability and hand in rat pelts to a guy in Freeport. And I had to sneak to him and not die, which in itself was nearly impossible. And then I could hand him 1,000,000 rat pelts, and then I could go get more and hand him more. And that eventually allowed me to get into the lower levels of Freeport without being killed on sight. And as a monk, the monk guild already liked me. So then I went and I farmed the hell for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. I did nothing but kill orcs, collect their beads, and turn their beads in the Freeport to actually become all the way max faction level with all of Freeport, the lower Freeport, even the paladins up north, because of the bead turn in. That was a game within a game, and it was so rewarding to be able to walk around Freeport as a monk when all my friends that were Ixars had to go all the way back to the main city to train, to bank, to do any of that stuff. I was able to walk into Freeport and literally had hordes of people following me like, what is going on here? Because at the time I did it, it was not common. And the funny part was, if I would have sold my account, I probably could have made a nice little chunk of change, and I didn't. Mistakes were made. But that was really cool. It was this thing that helped further. We've talked a lot about in Pantheon about going back to the time when your character had meaning. If you played the game right, people knew you. Well, people knew me because I was the Ixar that just ran around Freeport and didn't die somehow. They all thought I cheated and hacked, which is debatable. It was within the realm of the game. But so when I say evil races and what they matter, it creates an environment that's different. When I played as an Ixar, everything was scary. I couldn't go anywhere, and I didn't look at anything that I didn't think probably wanted to kill me. And it really changed how I played the game, and it changed how I interacted in a group. Everyone in the group's like, hey, let's just run past these guys. And I'm like, can we kill a couple of them? Because they might try to kill me. But as a monk, I could fiend, fiend death, which is kind of nice. But so that's kind of my story about evil and what it means in EverQuest and how I think and hope it's going to translate into Pantheon, because we've talked a lot, and VR has been very vocal about the fact that the faction will matter again, so we're going to have that. So I think it's really important to have the evil races in there. And one last point about the Reddit post. So when he said, I'm just modern culture, not everyone's evil in a race, here was my comeback, and we actually agreed on it. Terminus is different than most MMOs. Terminus is a planet that other races have come to as they were dying or in trouble. This is not a planet of people who grew up together. This is not a planet of people with the same core values or even core existence. These are races put on a planet trying to rebuild their culture. There is no reason for a Scar to care at all about a dwarf or a human or even an ogre. So think about that. That's a different piece of evil that is more explainable, that these races from other planets are literally just trying to survive. And when you're trying to survive, you'll kill or fight anything. So let me go ahead and set my meter. Then I'm going to toss this over to Leksur for his discussion on it. But I'm going to say, so the meter's a little different. The meter is, am I going to play evil? If I would have set this before I did my race videos, I would have been at the bottom and said, purge the evil scum. But then I got really into Scar. I blame Leksur. So I'm going to put it right in the middle and say I might be evil. The experience is cool. The Scar are pretty cool. I will never play an ogre. Not pretty enough. I will play a female Scar warrior if I play one, because they look like War Barbie. That's probably gonna be my name, War Barbie. So that's where I stand. Lex, I'm gonna give you the full screen. I want you to talk a little bit about what it is being evil and why that's important to you and what your thoughts are. So it's all you now, man.
Sure. Okay. So a little background. I've played just about every MMO out there from Ultima Online forward, but EQ was the one where I finally really got kind of that itch scratched. I started off as an erudite necro. Played that for a while. Kunar came out, and eventually I tried an Ixar Shadow Knight. And I was blown away by the experience. Besides the fact that a little part of me nurtures the evil impulses in me, so that during my philosophy is nurtured in a game where it's safe to do so I don't have to do it in real life. That's how I walk away from punching people in the face.
That's
and other not so great things. But it was truly PvE. The entire game was against me. Every corner held adventure because I didn't know what was going to happen. Do these people like me? Do they hate me? Are they just neutral? Are they waiting for me to do something bad? And then you turn the corner and you start running like a Girl Scout on fire because you're like, nope, they hate me. You know, the whole time you're just like, oh, no, yeah. And I'll still never forget the first day that I was walking through East Cap. And all of a sudden, I can't remember, the Glocks, I think his name was, Grandmaster Glocks, the monk trainer, came up and started beating me like a redheaded stepchild. I don't know what in the world I did, but here I am, supposedly safe in my own city. My own people are basically trying to rip my face off and wear it as a party favor, you know? And again, that created a new dynamic. I had to be careful when walking through the monks. And when you're grouping with friends, it can be a little bit of an inconvenience, you know, like, well, my friends are going, hey, we're going to go to Ocean of Tears to do the Sea Furies. Okay, I need to think of a very not time-consuming, but way to get through Freeport, otherwise it's going to take me 2 hours to get there. And it does create instances where you socialize with the community. Oh, hey, does someone have an invis that they can cast on me because I never worked on my divination as a Shadow Knight? Which I know a lot of people out there probably run into the same thing, you know? And you start making friends because after the same person invises you 3 or 4 times, you just start talking, you know? And to me, that created a whole new style of game on top of the fact that EQ was almost a novelty in and of itself. But as an erudite, you know, I had my home cities. I had some of the more evil races or some of the neutral races that I could visit. I had options. I had zones where I could literally just go auto run and step away, or alt tab and do something else. Couldn't do that with my Leksur. And ever since then, if I have the option to play evil, I play it. Because no other neutral or good race has ever given me the same gaming experience. So, like, for the meter, that sucker's going all the way up for me.
Okay.
If it's evil, I play it. If there's not evil, I guarantee you I won't be playing it for very long.
I would have preset it, but I just figured I'd wait for you to say that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get ahead and jump back into the 2-shot here. So interesting that you brought that up. Before we jump in, I'm going to eventually get to the chat real quick here and just shout out some of the stuff people have been talking about. Then we will jump to the green room. Green room's pretty open. We only have Chris and IdioTQ in there. So if you want to get on the show tonight, get on. You're just going to hear a lot from me and Lex and a lot of the chat, which is fine. That's absolutely okay. So side topic here, you kind of had said, you know, a lot of games you play the hero. For a majority of our life, you played the hero in almost every single game. There were very few games we got to do it, but there was a shift in that, and obviously EQ did it, but in standard single player games, you remember when Fable came out and you could be evil? And it was like, wow, this is cool. You just run around killing people and they'd be all scared. Do you remember that? Did you play Fable?
Yep.
And everyone I talked to is evil. Just because you could be.
Well, I think a lot of people, besides the fact that being evil was novel then, because like we all had the hero syndrome in the gaming industry. And the fact that you changed and the world changed because you were evil was a novelty on top of that. So, I mean, I think I've only ever met 2 people that have ever played Fable and were good.
Yeah, it wasn't common. It wasn't common. No. So there's a couple other games I'm going to call out, and we will get to the green room here shortly. But so there were 2 other games where I did something really evil. I'm going to share these 2 moments because they're probably my proudest evil moments in video games. And if you have any, Lex, please share. So Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I don't like Star Wars. People know that about me already. I'm not unveiling a secret here. That's one of the things that could cause subs to fall. He doesn't like Star Wars. But I loved Knights of the Old Republic. The first Knights of the Old Republic was mind-blowingly awesome. And I was evil as can be, especially because I don't like Star Wars. And there was a scene at the end of the game, for those that haven't played it, you had this female girl, she was like an alien girl, and she had a Wookiee with her. And they were best friends because the Wookiee owed her a life debt, and they stayed together, and they became friends forever, and they were inseparable the whole game. They were so good and smushy, and they loved each other. Well, during the course of the game, I saved the Wookiee, and he owed me a life debt. And there was a scene right at the end when they find out that you're the evil character in the game and you've lost your memory. Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't played it yet, that's not my fault. This is a long time ago. So they find out you're Darth Riven and you're the ultimate villain, and the good guys are like, then the bad guys in your party are like, hey, cool. So we're standing in a circle. I'm telling them who I am, and she's like, I will not be here. I'm running. There's no way I'm supporting you. And I look at the Wookiee, and there was an option, and it said, you owe me a life debt. Kill her. And I made the Wookiee kill his best friend as a life debt to me. That was one of my most memorable moments in video games being extraordinarily evil. Did you play that game, Lex?
I did, and I did the same option.
Okay, so there's one more before we get to chat. That is, and guys, these are the types of things. If you come on, you don't just have to talk about where you want to put the meter. You don't just have to talk about what you're going to play. Like, tell your stories about why evil is important to you. Jade Empire. Did you play Jade Empire?
Yes.
This one trumps, and yes, I am about to say this. This one trumps having a Wookiee kill his best friend as a life debt. This is worse. So Jade Empire, another BioWare game, surprisingly enough. There was a scene. It was a side quest. There was a mom in the middle of the street. Please help me. The slavers have captured my daughter, and they're going to sell her into slavery. Okay, Mom, I'll help you. I run up. I kill all the slavers. The only guy that's left is the leader of the slavers. I have the mom by my side. The daughter comes up. They're good to go. The slaver says, don't kill me. I'll pay you twice as much that I was going to pay if you give me the mom and the daughter right now. I was hard up for cash. I had to sell the mom and daughter back into slavery, right? What would you guys have done in that situation? Those are my two most evil moments in video games. I don't know if you came across that side quest when you played it, but it was pretty nuts.
Well, my response to that is going to come off as horribly misogynistic.
Uh-oh. Don't get us banned. Don't get us banned.
No, I would be like, on one hand, I've got two ladies. On the other hand, I've got more money. One's going to cause me a lot less problems.
I needed money.
Sorry. I'm apologize right now.
I feel like I killed a lot of slavers. That was a positive. And then I said, well, I need money. They were poor. They didn't have any money.
It's karma. It evened out.
Yeah. Any stories like that for you? How much money? I don't remember how much. It was enough.
The sad thing is that's because I play Evil so much, it's hard to remember a lot of standout moments.
Yeah.
Because eventually you just start decapitating people and going, whatever.
Solitude says, go for the money, for goodness sake.
You're familiar with another older title, Black and White?
Yes. That was the God game.
The God game. I love me a good God game.
Yeah.
Now, this is one where I actually had a little bit of reservation. Because those who don't know me, I'm a huge animal lover. Like, I used to volunteer my time to humane societies and all this other junk. But if I saw a dog in a freeway and a person drowning, I'd be like, well, hope you can swim. You know, I wouldn't even think twice. But to be evil in that game and to get an evil minion, you have to beat the living snot out of your pet to toughen him up.
Yeah.
Also, because I am, as I come from an abusive home.
Okay.
So, it was pulling on every heartstring. I did it, and I swear to God, I had a knot in my throat.
You still did it, though. You couldn't resist.
I still did it.
Had to do what you had to do.
I did. But I did reward him. I fed him lots of villagers.
See, perfect. So it honestly, for the creature, it ended up as a positive.
Right. But, you know, to counter that story of Lex who's got a heart.
Let's get rid of that quick.
I don't remember the game. I came across a story decision where an orphanage was on fire. I could run in and save the orphans, or I could stand there and watch it burn. Yeah. And I swear to God, you had 10 seconds to choose, and it had 9 seconds left, and I went, watch it burn. And I just put my feet up, and I leaned back, and I was like, yeah. I made the right choice.
All right, so let's get into the chat. We got some people in the green room ready to come in. So let's go into chat here real quick. Just see what's going on here tonight. I've tried to welcome everybody I saw come in, but once we get into the show, it's a little rough. So Shadra, welcome in. Micah came in and said Happy Halloween. War Zealot, welcome in. I can never pronounce your name right. Ishandi? That's what I'm going with. It's probably wrong. So let's see here. There's some people made some references. Chris wants to be an evil death metal singing bard from hell.
I approve.
It's pretty much what he is now. At least the from hell part. So we we have Aaron Wolf, welcome in. Let's see. Everybody kind of says they want the 1 day Pantheon a week on Thursdays. And they all said, maybe not, but they said, we got to get the other shows too. It's not just us. Chris begging people to come into the green room and he's scaring people off. I don't know how, but Micah's already talking about elves being amazing. How is Micah bringing elves into this? How did that happen?
It's that one glimmer of hope in the gloom.
Listen, if you weren't here for last week's show, Micah pretty much right on the show started an all-elf guild, and it will be the only time that I decide we are going to hunt. Lex, we're going to have to make a guild on a PvP server and hunt them down. I mean, that's.
Oh, I plan on it.
I'm going to have to step outside my comfort zone.
I am primarily a PvEer. I still intend to do lots of bad things to elves and halflings.
See, that's the evil side Mike is helping the evil side come forward. So,
I'm gonna tear up some towns.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be one of those guys like in early WoW where you just recruit people to raid the capitals.
Okay. So it says here that Cerulean said the most evil character for me in an MMO is when I played the Sithiest Sith Inquisitor. Shock therapy for all. All right. War Zealot said evil's an aesthetic with the dark elves. It was.
Yeah.
Ashande said, I've always been the typical female and played pretty races. I want to try something different. It's so hard to not be pretty. Like, I'm going to play a halfling rogue, and I think I'm probably going to be a female. All right, so Chris Kane says, Pull, should the Dark Mirror be evil? Yes. Their story and their background? Yes. They hate this planet. And everything.
It doesn't matter if they're good or evil. They're still fish sticks.
So someone did say they'd rather them be good. That was Aber. So I don't know. I don't think that. Dr. Sinister said, yeah, he sees them hating everybody. Micah says they should make a pro move and make halflings evil. No one would see it coming. I'm in. I'm still going to be halfling, so I'll have to change my
They're still on
meter.
my menu, so it doesn't matter.
What if the lore is all about how the halflings allowed the Scar to get their footing, and like the Scar and halflings are best friends? Like, what are you going to do?
Doesn't matter.
Chris Kane says humans and halflings should be evil. I've been pitching this for weeks, that the humans should be the ultimate Ixar evil, hated by everyone race in some MMO, because it would be so cool. They can be everything. They can be self-sufficient. They're conquerors. They're expanders. Everybody should hate them, and they're arrogant. I would, oh my gosh, if humans were the main evil race in a game like Ixar, that would be amazing.
Humans suck. I play one in real life. Don't recommend it.
The War Zealot says, agreed. The concept of evil race, I think, originates for things like orcs in Tolkien. Evil by nature, they barely have a society. That's a very different take, where there's not really any redeeming qualities. I think in Ixar, you still had redeeming qualities. They were slaves, right? And they kind of broke free violently.
If you haven't ever read the Ixar lore for EverQuest 1, I highly recommend it. In an era where I wasn't that into reading, that was the one thing that I read constantly. It was just great.
Yeah. So let's see here. Everyone was talking about the slaver situation. So Solitude again said, go for the money. Some said, you can get more girls after. Jeez.
You know that old saying, there's always another fish. More fish in the sea.
More.
But there isn't always more money in your pocket.
That's true. Jose said, get the money and then kill him. That would have been good. Get the money. Yeah. He walks away with them, and then I think they might have stopped you from being able to do that. Derek Wilson, welcome. He said, on Morrowind, there's a side quest where you bring a slave to the main city. And once you bring this Khajiit female to her owner, he kills her and reveals that she was a mule. Jeez, and pulls skuma from her. I do remember that. Holy cow, I remember that. And you're like, what are you doing? And it turns out she was a drug dealer. Wow, that's so crazy that I actually remember that. Wow, Derek, you're bringing back crazy memories now. Nintendo. X Mako says, Nintendogs. I cared for 2, but I treated one like crap. We need to bring forward the award of the night for comment, because I don't know how he did it, but X Mako just pulled a Nintendogs reference out that actually fit the channel. That is absolutely phenomenal. You were my new favorite. This is a good one. The War Zealot said, accidental evil, where your faction standing could not possibly be any worse. Oh man, when you make a really big mistake and it really hurts. Yeah, it's like there's no reset button.
I don't see that as a mistake. I see that as a path well trod.
Justin Rope says, what is up? Welcome. Doom Turkey. Ogre Scar Darkmail, the only evil races is Archai evil. So good discussion. I don't think the Archai are evil at all.
No.
The Archai, if you read their story, so they were little spirit beings, and then the spirit beings were manipulated and turned into Archai, and then the Archai were enslaved, and then the Archai broke out, and they're very joyous. It's funny because if you look at them, they don't seem like the best bard, but if you read their lore, they seem like an amazing bard, because all they talk about is celebrating their independence, their freedom, their story, their history and culture. They're a very celebratory race. I don't think they'd be evil. They're different, so maybe people will racially see them as evil or different, and that will scare them, but I don't think they'll be evil.
I just tell people they're stoners.
Man, I wish I had like the sound right there.
I know.
Okay, so we covered a lot of the chat. Thank you guys for being awesome. You guys are incredible in the chat. You guys are really lighting it up. So let's get into our green room. Let's start bringing people on. Move that meter. You going to play evil? Maybe. Do you want to purge the evil? All are welcome. EDDQ, you've been in there the longest, so we are going to pull you up in just a moment, but we like to give you the couple seconds of delay that we have here to know you're coming up, which usually doesn't matter anyway because you're probably in conversation with
So you don't get caught mid-swear like I do. You just go, fire truck.
Here comes EDDQ coming into the chat. What is up, EDDQ? How are you, my man?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Doing awesome. So welcome back to the show. You are always in here, and I love it. Thank you for your support. But I got to know, how evil are you? Where do you stand?
How evil am I? Okay, I will say this is one of those moments where I'm discombobulated because I just came from down there with Chris Kane.
Yeah, of course. That's how it works.
He leaves you all flustered.
The green room gets you all loosened up, so getting on the air is like a welcome.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, and then I will also say I kind of came in late, so I didn't really catch your full spiel. But I love duality in games. Like I love having those two sides or multiple sides, and I love when that matters.
Yeah.
So Chris was down there, and I'm not going to take everything that he probably will talk about, but he was like, minus it being part of the classes or the races, he likes just bad people in games. Like he likes just having conflict in games.
Like the person in chat that people are actively looking to go kill, or he's the one who trains people, and he's the evil rep.
Yep. And I brought up this anecdote today because you were asking about Arcade the other day.
Yeah.
And today I got on, and the whole game, there's this thing with trade packs, and you bring trade packs through areas where people can kill you and take them, and it's your actual gold in the game. And someone killed me today. And I got so angry, it made me happy. Because I was like, wow, I felt something. And I wrote the guy's name down. His name is Thistle, and I'm going to find him.
You have like a little notepad beside you. Like it's like,
have a notepad.
Did you guys see Billy Madison? Did you see Billy Madison with, what's his name? He calls him at the end, and he's like, hey man, I was really mean to you. I'm really sorry. And he's sitting there, with like makeup on, and he crosses his name off the list. he's like,
I know exactly what you mean. I saw the clip of him beating up. He became like a monk or something. The other guy.
Yeah.
Or no, that's anger management.
No.
Management.
No, it was. And then he comes and he shoots someone at the end of Billy Madison for him, the crazy teacher.
Played by Steve Buscemi.
Yes, that's who it was. I was trying to remember. Yep, Steve Buscemi. Yep. So you have a list. I remember that in Arcade. I didn't do many of them. I mean, you know my feelings. Me and you joked about that, about how much I hate PvP.
I mean,
I was
when it comes to PvP, it's rough.
that's that
because of
game.
that.
That game is built on that. It's really built on PvP.
100% built on that. That person killed me. I went back there. I was looking for him. I was shouting in the zone. But you can bring that same energy to a PvE focused game.
Yeah.
You can still have competition over mobs and rare spawns and
Rival guilds.
yeah, you can. It can really be the same thing. And then you just to remember someone's name. I mean, even in WoW, I remembered people's names. So.
Yeah.
But,
in WoW, I mean, the big thing that made people evil in WoW was trade chat. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys agree, but trade chat. There were two guys I will never forget on my servers. One was named Solrak.
okay.
He PvP'd all the time, claimed he was good, and I spent 90% of my days as a non-PvPer making fun of him. I would admit it. He deserved it. I only make fun of people that I feel deserve it or harass people that I feel like I like to bully the bullies. That's what I try to do sometimes, and I'm not perfect, so but I have my mistakes. But Solrak was someone who drove me crazy to the point where he quit playing because we were harassing him, which is not a good thing. I'm not that guy anymore, but I remember him. And the other one was a guy named Dark Ice Mage who literally had to quit because people hated him so much, but he did it to himself. But anyway.
Yeah. So and again, forgive me for not knowing exactly.
No.
Are we focused more on that aspect, or are we talking more about?
We're talking more about
races?
the evil races. Yeah, playing an evil race. You play, obviously,
So-
if you didn't play EQ and your name was EDQ, that'd be a problem. But you remember, I mean, playing
So I
WoW, there
actually
wasn't a
didn't.
real evil. You didn't.
I don't mean to do this to
Oh,
you on live, but
no.
we have a running joke in the green room because
You're
it is
not.
Idiotech, and you've been saying Idiot EQ, and
You told me it was EDQ.
no, in the first episode I said it's fine if you call me that, and I said one day I will correct you, but it's perfectly fine.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So it's
It's a
Idiotech.
Radiohead song. Yeah.
You understand how I could get that wrong with all the EQ fans that are
Oh,
looking at it.
100%. Yeah, which is why we were just like, let's
Okay,
just
so that's
let him say it.
actually a great point. So, having played WoW, there's a big difference between being Horde and being evil than evil in a
Yes.
faction-based game. So,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on that as someone who didn't play EQ then?
I welcome it because, and again, through playing this game, through watching like Voices of Terminus and you guys, Leksur, and really starting to learn more about EQ. I did play Final Fantasy 11, so I played
Okay.
a game that was similar to it when it comes to like depth and
Yep.
the type of game, rare spawns and losing XP and all that. But learning about how there's factions you could walk up to the wrong town and get destroyed, and your friend is just sitting there like, haha, what happened to you? Like, I think that's so awesome, and I want that. I want that, and I don't even want it to be as two-sided as Horde and Alliance. I want it to be a little bit more intricate, like I think it was in EverQuest.
Horde and Alliance felt more like good guys on this side, good guys on that side to me. It didn't feel like anyone was evil. You could argue that the Forsaken or the Undead were evil because of some of the stuff that happened, but
Yeah.
it felt like whatever side you were aligned to was good.
I got a friend who constantly says it's not good versus evil. It's basically political agenda versus political agenda.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. And that's perfectly valid.
And could you imagine in WoW if you could play an orc, grind faction, and walk through Stormwind? I mean, could you imagine the depth that would provide?
I think it would be awesome. And I think if there was, thinking from even a gameplay standpoint, if there was like a piece of gear that was from a rep vendor that was only in Stormwind, like that would just give people maybe a reason to want to do that on a specific class, or I want it. So are Darkmere or Mir, whatever it is, are they evil? They're considered evil.
We are
game, right?
thinking. I mean, Lex.
All signs point to evil.
Yes, yeah. That's
Basically,
where I'm
they're
at,
the water dark elves, if you ask me.
Yeah,
with a little
it
more
seems
hate.
like it.
They hate. See, the big thing is, and I'm not going to get super lore here because I bring
I'm
Chris.
gonna start calling them moist elves.
Oh boy. Chris will come up and verify this, but in their lore, they were dying on their planet and their god brought them over here. But what happened is they dumped them into the water and there was a difference in the water in Terminus. So what happened is they all started suffocating and dying. They couldn't breathe underwater in Terminus. And what had happened, and they're a very prideful race about living in the water. Like, imagine that's where you live your whole life. the god, in a last-ditch effort to save some of them, gave them lungs. And there are a ton of them that absolutely hate the fact that they have lungs, and those that hated it literally came out and killed their own god. So they are very dark in their history. There's a religious zealot cult of them that are probably not going to be aligned to your character. They're probably still going to be evil, even if you are Darkmere. But most signs point to them being about their own existence, their own culture, and hating this planet. It's the way I take it.
Yeah.
Very dark elfish.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, and I want that. I want them to dive into that as much as they can and as much as they want. I think that there should be plenty good and bad. And I know you've said also like you would love to see like humans go through and just not be the quote unquote like neutral or good race. I want them to dive into all that, and I think that that's only beneficial for a game like this.
Maybe that's my goal. Maybe I'll say that tonight as an alt human. I'm going to go kill all my faction.
And I feel like it'd be cool if you could do that. That's one thing that I think Arcade does pretty well, and I do find it very entertaining, is the whole you can go on trial and you can kill your own side, and that's really cool. And you can actually go to jail.
Yeah,
and
I've been...
Exactly. Even in...
Isn't it just in Arcade? So for those that haven't played Arcade, it's a Korean-based MMO. It was a little pay to win. They've kind of made a new version of it that's not pay to win at all, at least that they say.
As of right now.
Yeah, as of right now. There's like two factions. It's kind of like Horde and Alliance in a sense, and you kind of pick a side, but then you don't have to be part of either of those. You can be a pirate. And that's nuts. Like like you can only talk and interact with other players. It's almost like they successfully created the Priest of Discord.
Yeah.
Right, Lex? Because the Priest of Discord, nobody did the Priest of Discord. Nobody. You deleted your character if you want Priest of Discord.
That was something you chose in EQ, right?
Yeah, in EQ at every starter city, you could talk to a guy that flagged you permanently for PvP.
Permanently. There's nothing you can do afterwards.
Nope.
I did it on bait characters.
Oh man, that's kind of brutal. That's not gonna lie.
Yeah. So, Idiotech, you are now reborn. What would you do with the meters? So when it comes to Pantheon, are you going to be a Scar? Are you going to be Darkmere? Are you going to be Ogre? Or what are you leaning towards? Are you going to be evil, do you think?
So as a main, and after seeing all the racials and all that, I've been keen, and I don't hear many people talk about wanting to be this, but I've been keen on being an Archive.
Okay.
But if I were to make an alt, it would probably be a Scar or a Mir.
So I'm going to bring it down to kind of in between, might be evil all the way. So,
yeah, you can even go a little higher, because I would.
Okay.
It depends on it, but maybe I'll join the cult of Scar Dire Lords with Leksur.
Oh man,
hunting down Micah's elves.
They do sound cool, and I, as much as I did like the old version of them, I'm okay with this newer one. They still feel evil enough to me.
I felt that, Lex. I felt your heart right there.
I'm okay with it. I'm not saying I like them. I'm just saying
I'm still reserving my judgment till I see them in game. All I want is them to look like their life is hard.
I think what'll be key, and I'm sorry for this random little segue before I go, but I think what'll be key is just the way they stand, like the way they actually like.
The animations are going to count for an awful lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they just like stand up like a human, and it's like, okay, no, it's not. They need to do something kind of evil.
Hunch them over a little bit or something.
A little bit, or have them run on all fours, something creepy,
Or just make it look like when they're running, they're kind of like stalking a little bit or something. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not an animator.
But yeah, evil all the way. Well, I shouldn't say that because you'll put it up, but I'm down for having an evil character within this game.
All right, Idiotech, I'm going to throw you down. Tell Chris we're pulling him next.
Oh, I definitely will.
All right.
See, I think playing an evil character when you're a good person is actually pretty therapeutic.
Yeah.
Because I spent a lot of my life being a bad person, and now I try to actively be a good person.
Because you can get it all out in the gaming world now.
Exactly. If I got some kids in the neighborhood that like to go in my backyard and beat on my trees with a baseball bat. So I go into games and I shoot people in the face. Why? Because I can't do it to them.
Just send them clips of your games. This is what I do all day. Just want to make sure you know.
Oh, one of these days, I'm actually going to go outside with my phone on speaker with my brother-in-law, who's going to get a text ahead of time to go with and be like, "How many bodies you need buried?"
Nice.
Yeah, don't worry about
Just
it.
ask Siri.
Just bury me in my backyard.
She'll tell you where. Couple things from the chat. Let's see here. Chris Kane says Sully needs to be in the chat just for a female perspective. I agree. We do need more females.
Yes.
We had Shadero say, this is great because I love this. And it actually reminds me of Morrowind. I loved butchering towns in Fable to be able to buy their houses and turn new owners into my renters.
Yep.
It's the same thing before. If I had something really bad happen to me in Morrowind, I would save the game and then butcher an entire town. Or see how long I could go.
With that example from Fable, is it being evil or is it just being business savvy?
That is very business savvy. It's a little mob mentality, a
little too Microsoft for everybody.
Oh, jeez. We also had, let's see, the War Zealot said, you must have worshipped Inaruk in EQ. That's a great reference.
Inaruk's a bitch.
Oh, he was the one with like, oh man, he was cool. I remember fighting him or seeing him in game for the first time. It was awesome. Or like the you didn't see him. He had beings that looked like him, right? Wasn't he the one? It was like
he looked like a really
clay looking like weird.
No, you're thinking of Kazakh Thule.
Oh,
Inaruk was kind of like a really gangly dark elf. He almost looked like a dark elf kind of did it with a goblin with a Shaquille O'Neal on the side.
Yep, Turin also said, yeah, I was thinking Kazakh, the clay looking one.
But yeah, I mean, Kazakh looked pretty cool. Like
Kazakh
forearms, just like.
Yep. So let's see here. Cerulean, the only person to ever get rejected from my EQ guild was an Inky. I love it. That was, you actually end up having racial terms within an Inky, and I got it right away. I remember that. An Inky SK of Inaruk who roleplayed a bit too well during the initiation period.
Well, see, on the server that I was on, which was ironically enough Kazakh Thule, when I played the Ixar, everybody that was on the Ixar side called people who were not Ixars smoothskins.
That's awesome.
That's how we just referenced people.
That's how you rolled. Okay, we're gonna pull Chris up. So you ready for this?
As ready as I'm ever going to be.
Here he comes. He's gonna be yelling as he comes in, guaranteed. Here he comes.
But there was some.
Is
just an
I just told you. Oh, come on! You're already gonna demonetize us.
Wait.
All right. So, Mr. Kane, I know we sent down Idiotech, which I've been calling him incorrectly, Idiot EQ for a while.
Idiot EQ. Ever.
So, Chris, I'm actually interested in your actual true opinion here because from what I know of you, you have never talked about being one of the evil races in this, but I never talked to you about really in depth what you played in EQ for the most part, like from a race perspective. So, what are your thoughts on the whole topic and what did you used to play?
If you were to somehow dive into my brain and realize that I enjoy playing evil asshole troll characters, it would shock everybody and you would be demonetized instantly. because evil characters are what when I did that, oh God, what was that? It was just some stupid little promo video that I made, whether you choose to be the hero or you choose to be the villain.
Yeah.
To make the choice. That whole thing. Role-playing games need to have the option for human beings to be evil. It's why we love things like Deadpool and anti-heroes. It's the reason in Darth Vader, we want to see what Darth Vader really is all about, the dark side. We just want that in our lives. It needs to happen. Like, evil characters need to be defined. They need to be crystal clear.
You're okay with being able to change through the course of the game, right? Like if you faction grind and stuff, you like that or no?
I want to support that. I want to see a good race be able to go evil if they really want to, based on either choices that they make or religious, affiliations or alignments or whatever. Yeah, definitely. Evil.
So did you play any of the evil EQ races?
So I'm going to embarrass myself here. I started as a human. Oh God! I started as a human warrior, and I moved over to an Ixar briefly, just briefly. I'm like, whoa, this is too difficult. And then I went to Dark Elf, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, Dark Elf is kind of cool. And I stayed as a Dark Elf for a while.
Wizard?
And
was that your wizard?
No, unfortunately not. No, this was a Dark Elf warrior. Absolutely
You stuck with warrior. You stuck with what you knew.
Yes, it was Jack. And then I went to a half elf bard, which that just says everything. Like I
God,
couldn't
I love
handle
half elves. I couldn't handle it.
I couldn't handle being that evil. Like I couldn't get into it.
It was
But
intense
those
being
characters.
Leksur. It was intense. You almost felt trapped, like in the world, into certain areas. Like it was scary, man. And when dying matters, like if your party didn't have a cleric, you weren't sure you can get into Freeport. Drag my corpse to the docks and res me, please.
God, those evil characters, especially the people that I can't even remember role playing being a thing. Like everybody sort of takes that for granted now. Oh, you're on a role playing server. That's really stupid. Yeah, but that's where
You were forced to role play. Hey guys, we're gonna go to Freeport.
Much.
No, you had to.
Yeah.
Can we go somewhere else? So you dipped in EQ.
I dipped in it, but I never lost it. Like
You
when
still
I
wanted
said
more.
evil bard, I wasn't kidding. When I commented, I'm like, I want to be an evil gnome bard running around singing songs of hate that are just training people and just not doing anything to benefit them at all and just bringing misery upon the world.
You can't do that as an
is
elf.
one of
Chris.
those. You can't. But if I could, I would. That's the
Chris, when you get into Pantheon and you play your bard, I want you to listen to "Fuel for Hatred" by Satyricon.
okay.
That is one of my favorite songs ever.
bookmarked.
Cyrillian just said, so Chris was fancy. I think anyone who plays EQ knows what that
Oh,
means.
Fancy the Bard.
Fancy the Famous.
was just amazing.
If you didn't play EQ, you have no idea what we're talking about, but there was a guy who played Fancy the Famous. He was a bard, and what do you have, like a blog or something where he just told stories? It was phenomenal. Oh my gosh, that was awesome. So Chris, are you, now from everything I've heard, I haven't heard you say you're going to be an evil race. You're just going to try to make whatever you pick slightly evil?
Well, besides Scar, what are the evil races? Ogre?
Ogre and Dark
I
Mirror.
don't see Ogre as, but I really don't see them as quote unquote on the same level of evil as a Scar. At least in my opinion, I don't see them. They're close. Like I see ogres as a xenophobic evil race.
Yeah.
That just wants to be left alone in their own tribes.
And they never
then
will be because they're too big.
yeah.
They're too ugly. Yeah.
Scar are the ones that just want to dominate and just roll over everything and make the world into what they want.
Mhm.
But Dark Mirror are the sort of isolationists, not xenophobic, but they're like this race that just happens to be evil, sort of. Like they're putting up with their choices that they've had to endure.
Yeah. Whereas the Scar, I've said this in a stream, but I believe in the lore, the Scar are actually defined as cannibalistic. I mean, can you get much more evil than being cannibalistic?
Well, it's out of necessity, though.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
I
interesting.
mean, let's face it. If it came down to dying of starvation between you and a buddy, your buddy's gonna start looking pretty juicy after a little bit.
So you're saying, as the
it's
halfling in the
survival.
group, I better watch out because they're gonna.
No, because you're only a mouthful. Everyone else got to worry more. Depends how hungry I am.
Yeah, we were just talking about this in the green room. Like there's an opportunity for VR to do something that has not been done in games up until this point, which is make the races that we all think are goody two shoes
Yep.
into some strange amalgam of evil and hatred and bile and vitriol, like the halflings.
Like humanity.
Like humanity. Imagine having an evil halfling race or an evil gnome race. It would be so entertaining that just by sheer stupidity, you'd play it for a couple of months just to see how far it really goes. And
See,
I would love it.
I've always said that. Like, why does every race have to be defined by good or evil? I mean, with the Scar, it makes a little more sense because they're more of like a slave army trying to just
Gnomes are interesting,
find
right?
something.
Gnomes,
Yeah, but who's to
gnomes
say there's
could be
who's to say there's
evil
not
just
a
because
faction
they're
of evil ones?
Yeah. No, well, that's It's kind of like what the core of the lore that you're playing into. Like, where's your character fit into the lore is going to be what defines that. Because I'm going to doubt that you can be a Dark Mirror that's part of that heretic group or heretic group. Like, it just feels like that's too well written to be something to fight against in the world. But it's an interesting point, and I think that all of us have said, man, like, we'd love to twist that on its head, but I think as is, you'd have to say, and I get what you're saying about ogres. The problem is, as an ogre, being ugly and big, the way these games are written, you look at them and you say that's a threat, so it's evil. You know, that, and that's why a halfling's never evil, because when you look at them, you know, as a human, you don't see them as a threat, right?
It's like, oh, you're so cute.
Which could be used to their...
Go give me an adult.
Which could be used to their advantage. So, Chris, as it stands right now, if you were going to move this meter, do you think you're going to play an evil race, or are you just going to try to become evil? Where are you standing? Like, do you think you'll be a Scar warrior?
I will not go towards the race that is designated as evil, but I will play my character as it's evil, as evil
Okay.
as I can get away with. Because why bother playing these kinds of fantasy games if you can't indulge in the dark side?
All right, I'm going to move you down a little bit to still being evil, but because you don't want to play one of the pre-designated races as we see them so far, move down just a little bit, because I'm kind of curious. I want to know what it's going to be like. And before I let you go, Chris, I want to talk about one more thing. We've all brought up humans being evil. So humans, regardless of what anybody wants to say in our community, across all games, humans are usually the most played thing. And it's funny because you always hear that, well, I play human every day. Well, I don't want to play human. But everyone seems to make human because they're so neutral and they kind of fit everything and it gives you options. If humans were made evil, would that flip? Would you see way less?
Absolutely. Yes.
It's interesting, right?
They need to do, they have an opportunity here to capitalize on not only there's just the nostalgia of playing a slower social based MMO, they have an opportunity to make something totally different and what people don't expect. And if you made humans so if you swapped humans and Scar and you turned Scar into just the average, everyday race, that might work. But if you made humans something else entirely, we would all look at humans and go, okay, what's this game all about? Like, it'd be
and you know what's interesting? This game could do that, because when I look at Pantheon lore, every other game with humans are like the central being. Dwarves feel like that being in this game. They were there first. They're highly established.
Evil so badly, it's not even.
What's that?
I want dwarves to be like evil, like underground dwelling bastards
Iron
that just
dwarves.
don't.
Oh gosh, what's the word for them in Forgotten Realms? Druger or something like that?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what it's called. Someone in chat will know. What were the evil dwarves called in Forgotten Realms? But yeah, so it would be interesting, because the other thing too with some of the, you can keep some of the preset human things, like having all the classes available. That works perfectly if you're evil.
Why are we not doing that? Why are they not doing that?
I don't know.
What's the reason?
Chris, I need you to get on that.
Damn it. All right, I'm going to start pestering people.
Chris, I'm going to send you down. Can you let Vandrid know we're going to pull him in next?
No, I'm not doing that. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
He is not your errand boy.
So Vandrid, if you heard that, you're coming in next. So, man, we're getting, it's funny, we're talking about evil and we're talking about these races. It's funny because everyone's talking about evil being a good thing, but kind of what we know, Chris brought up the perfect point there. He made them. It was really cool. This is a huge challenge. And I think that people who haven't played EQ don't understand, like, Scar are going to look cool. And if you want to look like really cool and evil, you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it.
Typically, that's where racials would come in.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to speculate with the partial information that we know right now, but we'll use Ixars as an example. In EverQuest, I mean, they were the epitome of evil, not in the sense of action, but in the sense of everybody's view of them.
Yeah.
But
their racials were so good.
Their racials were awesome. They had regeneration that was almost as good as a troll's. They had extra armor because of their scales.
And they didn't look like a troll.
Swimming.
Having a more humanistic form helped them as well. Yeah.
Right. They had night vision. I don't remember. I don't think it was ultravision. I think they had infravision or something like that.
Yep.
And these were all things that were really a big deal when Kunar came out. There were a lot of min-maxers who re-rolled only to realize that, like, the difficulty that came with these, because Kunar mobs were inherently tougher than the old world mobs.
Field of Bone, man. That's starting. Probably still one of my all-time favorite zones in any game. It was a starter zone, and it was just Going into Kern's Tower.
Even when I play on an EMU, I've played on some where they don't have Ixars, but they have the Kunark zones.
Yeah.
I still go to Field of Bone, Kern's Tower, etc., etc., etc. That's just my go-to.
Yep.
It's almost relaxing for me.
Yep. Yeah, Turnhorst just said Ixar was so OP. If you could deal with the world hating you and the difficulty of what happened as an Ixar monk, Ixar monk with a fungi tunic. You just
as a tank, they were and they weren't, because at the time of Kunark they didn't have access to any plate armor. It was all chain. So the AC bonus evened out when you got to the end of Kunark with everybody else.
Yeah.
With further expansions, then you got access to that, but by that time you are such a high level that all racials were essentially nullified because their differences were marginal. And then it came down to frontal stun immunity, night vision, basically.
Yep. So a couple things in chat, then we're going to pull in Vandrad here. Slander said on EQ he played on Solenzek Row, and it was a server that was a Deity Alliance server with good versus evil versus neutral. 3 factions, and some races could choose to be any of the 3 factions. I would love that in Pantheon. It's an interesting thing. So it wasn't just good versus evil. There needs to be neutral as well. Yeah, and what happens? So games have neutral. I think almost every game has neutral, but the problem is they get lumped in with the good.
Yeah.
Because when you're neutral, see, it's not a true neutral. Like if you're neutral in Pantheon, you should be able to go talk with the Scar. I just don't like. That's the problem, is you have that outlier that makes you from being truly neutral, right?
I feel like that's the other way around. Like if a town is neutral, a Scar should be able to enter.
Yeah.
But if you're neutral going to the Scar is still going to want to rip your face off.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective. Ex Mako said, quote, "Nobody wants to play human. Boo-hoo. People who play human are min-maxers." Humans, I have tons of humans in all games I play. They also look pretty. So, the War Zealot agreed. Your level of evilness should not be determined by who you worship. That'd be interesting. You could really turn the whole game on its head if you do that. There needs to be different factions of humans, Drew said. I agree. That would be nice. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to bring Vandrad in, and he's going to chat about evil. What's up, Vandrad? How are you?
Hey, hello.
Well, this is your topic, my man.
Evil.
So
go ahead, just raise the bar all the way up to the top. Raise it up to the top. Just take it up there right now, all the way up.
All right.
I had a feeling he was going to be like my spirit animal.
We're going to move it up. All right, so go ahead. Tell us some stories. You've played a lot of evil races. I know about your boil-filled trolls. What is it that's driven you to those? Like, you're a gamer. You've played games for, my guess, most of your life. So
since Meridian 59, basically.
So what is it that pushed you to evil? Is it what we were talking about earlier, that most RPGs never gave you a chance, so when they did, it was something different?
No, it was that the evil races have typically had a harder road to travel. And to see somebody at max level with really good gear that is an evil race, you know that the struggle that they had to get through to get to that point was so much more meaningful than somebody who could skate through the world with NPCs that were really, really nice.
Kind of like a built-in auto status. It was kind of like a status for people who understood the game. They'd see you and be like, this guy's pretty good.
And then the other half of it was you didn't have this internal moral dilemma of, oh, should I kill this NPC or not? What faction will it have? How could this affect me in the future? You're like, screw it, kill it. I'll worry about it later.
I'm pretty sure they hate me anyway.
Yeah, so why not? Let's go with it. Let's see what happens. Let's see where it takes me.
How many times were you in a group? How many times were you in a group where there was someone in a group like, no, don't kill that. I don't want to take the faction hit. And you're like, shut up.
Yeah, all the time.
Wah.
And like the was in Villainous when Plane of Growth was out, and all the the wood elves and whatnot didn't ever want to raid Plane of Growth because oh my god, I can't hurt my Tunar faction. screw it. Go in there and kill her anyway. She's a god. Murder her. We killed all of ours.
We've killed all of ours.
When I played an Ixar, I had to get a port to Surefall Glade, and they basically told me, don't touch the bears. I walked up to a bear and I harm touched it.
Holly Windstalker.
And I was just like, they hate me anyway. What difference are they going to make?
Oh, I forgot about druids not wanting to kill animals.
Yep. Holly Windstalker would come by and murder you on the spot.
Yep.
Was that in Kelethin?
No. So Holly Windstalker was in Keno's Hills.
Okay. Yep. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, my God. That's something I would have never remembered.
Why do I remember this after 20 years?
But doesn't that say something? Doesn't that...
Well, yeah, it tells me that it was memorable enough to stick with me.
I completely forgot about her running around Queen House.
No, the other thing that I really appreciate about being evil races was traveling was more exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Getting that port from the wizard to... North Karana or, that druid portal to East Commonlands, you knew you were taking a risk. If the guard was in the wrong point on his path, well, guess what? You're going to have to run.
Pucker up, princess.
Yeah, it was, wow, you're just bringing up so many memories. And just that faction mattering was just, I have never felt anything like that in an MMO since EQ.
It was something that I think, I'm hoping that Pantheon keeps in the forefront, that faction is meaningful over the long term, that the choices and decisions you make, the NPCs that you choose to attack or not attack, will have ramifications long past the point at which you attacked that or did not attack that particular NPC.
And Turn brought up a good point to go right in line with what you're saying there, is that faction didn't matter in EQ for very long. Because soon you could just kill the guards easy, and many grinded city guards. Yeah, I killed Watchman Halv, the gnome guard.
Oh God, yeah,
probably a million times.
Well, but so you look at it. So in the vanilla release, faction mattered. Trolls had a difficult time getting around. Kunark comes out, and suddenly, all the evil races can hang out in the outpost. Yeah. All the good races can hang out in Verona Vi. Okay, so faction is completely irrelevant across all of Kunark.
Isn't it funny how so many things tie back into when travel's made easier, it ruins a lot of things.
Right. And then Villainous comes out, and guess what? Coldane dwarves perfectly happy with everybody.
We don't talk about
now faction doesn't really
We don't talk
matter.
about Villainous because I played a wizard, and Ice Comet went from the greatest spell ever to resisted. So,
and then, of course, and they did it again. Lukeland comes out, and then you've got Shadowhaven. Everybody can go to Shadowhaven. Yeah. Planes of Power with Plane of Knowledge. Everybody can go there. Faction became irrelevant. I don't want to see that repeat.
I would like to see where, when expansions come, there are no major cities added.
Or none.
Yeah.
Okay, we discovered an island. Nobody lives there. Have fun.
Yeah. This is a good one. This brings back a lot of memories for me. This is phenomenal. Derek Wilson says, I'll tell you this. As an ogre, I hated Sergeant Slate murdering me. It hurt so bad when I was sitting outside CT and Bouncer Herd would smash a teammate. I didn't hate it. Oh my God, freaking Sergeant Slate.
And that brings up a good point, because what did you do? As an evil ace, you run through there, you didn't know Sergeant Slate existed. He comes up, kills you, and you're like, oh, I fucking hate Sergeant Slate. You came back 25 levels later, and you beat him into the ground.
How great were Vengeance killings? Vengeance killings were the best.
Gix out in West Commonlands, the guy that stood by the toll booth that killed all the good races. Who was the dervish in North Row? Same thing. Yeah. You exacted your revenge later on, and it felt so good.
Cerulean just said Vengeance killings were the best. Oh my God. And even going into WoW, it was like when you could solo dead mines. Like in classic WoW, when you could go in and solo dead mines. Oh, it was so fantastic. Fantastic.
People wondered why on my Ixar I just run through towns just murdering the hell out of everybody. It's like, why? Because I can now. I don't have to feign death or gather shadows and hope to God I don't run by this one NPC that paths I can see through invis. I just run through and be like, okay, and you're dead, and now you're dead, and now you're dead. Suck it.
And I need.
Yep.
Oh my God, another one. Oh, Cerulean's on a roll tonight.
Yeah, Divin.
Ambassador Divin. Oh my gosh,
Divin
that guy.
to the zone.
Yeah. Oh man, the dagger he dropped still to this day is a wanted piece for me. All right, Vengeance. So we moved the meter up right off the bat. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, put it as high as it'll go. Even so, it like overflows the top because
comes out of the
whatever
top
evil
of the
race,
stream.
it's I want to be a Scar. Not really sure about the racials and how that's going to play out yet, but it's definitely going to be evil race.
Ogres are so beast. They did a great job with them, and Scar are. I have an interesting video coming out. I'm going to pitch this. I'm not going to go into details on it, but I have a video to break down all those, and I pick what I feel is the best races for each class, the best, and then maybe like a second best. And I'm going to spoil one of the weird things and one of the weird outcomes. I could not make a case for Darkmere being the best or second best for any class. So I'm interested to see what the community says about that when it comes out. But and even Scar was a little challenging, but I did find some. So okay, excellent. I'm going to toss you down, Vandrin. Could you tell Double A we're going to pull him in, and then Zoltar will be after? So
no, you have to go bring Solitude.
Is she going to come in?
No, she doesn't want to. But
that's why I wasn't. Tell her we're thinking about it. So
okay, I'll tell Double A.
Solitude, we're thinking about you.
Solitude, you have to come on and talk on the air. It would be awesome. You'll be the first female to ever come live on the show, which would be
wow. You need to reword that.
We're just gonna keep going. Okay, so Double A, we're bringing him up now. I'm sure he's been fighting with Chris. It's been a battle. Here he comes. Double A, my man, are you there?
What is up?
What's up, dude? How are you? You battling Chris tonight?
Fantastic. Well, you, Chris and I love a good debate. It seems to be the inevitable after 9 episodes.
yeah, it's established.
But you know what? I always like what he has to say. He always has good points. It can't be denied.
Yeah. So where do you stand on this? Are you a good race or are you an evil race kind of guy?
Well, I like druids, and that's usually goes with good, but I kind of what is an evil druid? Like, what would a Scar druid look like?
I don't think, can they be druids?
They can't, but that's where my mind was.
I think the only evil that can be druid, or can Darkmere be druids?
No, I think
so it's only ogres. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. So your only option would be to be an ogre druid. Do you foresee that in your future being possible?
Absolutely not. Because if I'm going to be that hulking of a beast, I'm going to have a crushing.
Yeah, you're not going to talk to animals. You're just yeah. I'm not going to spend my time talking to animals if I'm an ogre. I need to beat something with a big hammer.
Yeah, I'm going to eat a squirrel like a chip.
So your odds are you would probably lower the meter. You're probably not going to play an evil race.
But if Necro comes out, I might do a Scar Necro because I, like y'all were talking about earlier, that was a big thing in EQ. Because a buddy of mine, he played human, and I wanted to play an evil race. And the hour a day, 2 hours a day at a player lower than 15 to get over to him and interact with him for 30 minutes was it's fucking horrible.
Isn't that the funniest part? You would spend all day getting somewhere and your buddy would log off and be like, dude.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I was in middle school, but I mean, imagine going to college and doing all day and you're like, oh, I'm getting back to my dorm. I'm going to go do some quests. And it's like, oh, I just got to you. And it's like, no, sorry, I got a party to go to. It's like, what the fuck? Like, all right.
You're all alone in a strange land.
You're all alone in a strange land. And then there's some dark elves trying to get you in this.
And the whole time you're just like, someone please.
That is the only connecting place.
Please teleport me, somebody. Please, I need a teleport. I can't move.
Or bind me to a place where I don't have to run for an hour and 30 minutes to just try again. Sometimes it was that bad, you know? But I still liked it. But that's a good point. Evil races made that, like, even though it was that difficult to do and interact with my friend, like, that's what I wanted to do. Like
Difficulty-
my Ixar Necro, that's what I loved him.
Difficulty
and I wasn't willing to
creates-
lose him. for
Difficulty creates wins. And
It creates value.
yeah, so like when it is hard to go
I
talk,
think
yeah.
that's a great word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, value.
So when you were an Ixar and you did get to where you needed to go and you were fighting in Butcher Block, you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm here. And like you didn't see more of you around. Like you didn't see a ton of Ixars running around Butcher Block when you were doing stuff because like it was like a lot of people were just like, it ain't worth it. I'm staying in Kunark. Like this is where I'm gonna be.
People would talk to you if you made it that far. They'd be like, "How the hell did you get over here?"
Yeah. It's
And
true.
I'd be like, "Well, let me tell you. It took about 4.5 hours.
Just sit down and then let me regale you with my tale.
Let me those should be the bards. Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a 6-hour story.
It ends in dying. They always end in dying. All right, awesome. Double A, I'm going to drop you down. We're going to pull in Zoltar as our last caller tonight. But awesome, man. Thanks for sharing. Yep. And dude, I'm telling you, it's funny because even the people that don't play evil still get to experience a little bit of going into those evil territories. Maybe not as much as there's always more positive territories when it comes to cities than there are evil. But it is interesting. And God, man, I got to tell you, the chat bringing up Sergeant Slate. Oh my gosh.
It's all the major nostalgia getting thrown in your face.
Oh, and it's again without that, like there's a lot of people that don't, people talk about WoW and they talk about faction, but that's not faction. WoW is not a faction-based game. Like someone said earlier, it's perfect political side versus political side. That's perfect. That's the exact way to say it. It's just incredible to think about these faction moments. And I the druid who runs around killing people who kill animals, that is, I would have never thought of her again. And it's amazing. That's
see, it's kind of why I tell people like, I don't play Guild Wars or Guild Wars 2 anymore because they're just two-dimensional to me.
Fun game, great game, great animations.
It's fun. It's entertaining. But in the end, I find myself just playing a game. I'm not immersed in a world. You're
not your character.
Part of the community. Yeah, I might as well just be standing at an arcade game for all I'm concerned because everything is so two-dimensional in terms of just like, no. Even though the world is coming to an end, we're not all on the same side.
That's why I really struggled with like Terra.
Yeah.
Great game. When it came out for its time, the action combat was phenomenal. Graphics were unbelievable. I liked playing pretty characters. There was no shortage of that. But yeah.
Well, let me tell you, they destroyed that game.
I know. I tried to play it recently. It was pretty rough. It scared me. All right. We are going to bring in Zoltar. He's going to be our last guest on the show tonight. Then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So, Zoltar, if you're listening, we are pulling you into the room. What's up, Zoltar? How are you, my man?
Hey, guys.
Welcome in.
What's going on?
So, Zoltar, I don't know where you stand on this. I've never really seen you talk about this. Are you looking to play an evil race, or do you typically?
I'm looking at possibly playing a Scar.
Okay.
So I'd say yeah. I never played EverQuest, so I've never played that particular style of evil and good factions.
So it's something though that you're hearing about it.
I'm interested in it. I am. I'm a little bit worried that I might be getting in over my head, and I have some potential issues with it. But I want to see what the models look like. But if they look cool, I'm definitely looking at possibly doing a Scar.
Playing something like the Scar, like the best way to describe it is like it's kind of like learning to ride a bike without training wheels. You're gonna fall, you're gonna skin your knees, but in the end, you're still gonna succeed as long as you keep at it, and you're just gonna be like, yeah, I did it.
You know what helps with it is, so the people you play with are gonna be a huge part of it. If you have more Scar in your community, then you're really gonna be in good shape. That's going to help you a lot. They're going to learn tricks. You guys are going to share tricks on how to get around. You won't always have to go places. If you play with a group where there's not many, it's harder. It makes it really hard. And you become the guy people are waiting for. You have to be smart about where you log out, where you're going to get to, what the plans are going to be. It does put some added weight on you because when I played Ixar, I did not play with any other Ixar. So it was...
Yeah.
It was frustrating.
Kind of the impression that I've gotten is that, and this may not be exactly right, but that the idea was generally that you would pick up some evil race, and then you would grind out faction to become like neutral or friendly with the different places that you could get around. And I don't really like that idea. I kind of like the idea that if you're evil, then you stay that way, at least to some degree.
It wasn't easy to do. And the way that I did it wasn't, again, I don't want to sit here and act like I hacked the game. I did not. It was a broken mechanic within Sneak. It wasn't super common for that to be able to be done. The average player wasn't going to be an XR in Freeport. You had to really put stupid amounts of time into doing it. It was possible, but it became a year-long, months-long journey to try to get there. And I hope that's what they do here. But yeah, like the way I was able to do it, and some people in chat have probably done this, but when you initiated a sneak appropriately, the target was indifferent to you. So there was this quest giver I could sneak to in the sewers, and if I sneak and did it right, I could get behind him, and I could be indifferent to the point where I could hand this quest in. And I cannot explain to you how many rat pelts I had to turn in. It was ridiculous. And then that just got me in the door. So if it's stuff like that, that's where I think the faction needs to be. It can't be easy to do. I don't think it should be through a bug. But it has to be a very difficult, arduous, grinding, where most people aren't going to grind that to make it stand out.
I'm also kind of curious how they're going to do the actual races, and are they actually evil or not? Like the dark mirror, they don't really, when you read about them, they don't sound evil to me. They just sound unfriendly. Mm-hmm. And the ogres are more, not necessarily, like I wouldn't say that they're evil by nature, but they're just warlike. So I'm wondering how different each of them will be in terms of the game systems and how other people interact with them. Now the Scar, the one that I'm looking at, is I don't typically like to play characters that are just like pure evil. I like to I'll play evil characters that sort of have a code of conduct, or maybe they just kind of do like an ends justify the means type of personality. But I guess with the Scar, they do seem more like the sort of like the orcs in Lord of the Rings, where they're just completely evil, no redeeming qualities.
Yeah, I mean, Lex, you've been studying. I've never seen any lore that paints any redeeming qualities in them.
Well, the thing is with a lot of evil races, they're evil for a reason. It'd be it opposing worldview or, something in the history. Even like the Dark Elves in EverQuest, they were originally elves who were taken and corrupted by Inarok. He shaped them into Dark Elves. They were not evil to begin with. The Scar.
The Scar, yeah. Sorry.
No. The Scar it's basically a mercenary slave army that was just found themselves on a new world. All they know to do is fight. It's generations and generations.
There is some sympathy, when you read the Scar history, but I think they more fit that completely evil sort of mold. They do,
but again, it's like, I don't think the ogres are evil. I really don't.
You know what it is? You guys both brought this up and haven't said it, but you've led me to saying this. What creates evil a lot of times is who is willing to align for peace and who is not. Right? Does that make more sense? Like, the humans show up, they're dying. For those that don't know, the human story is a little cooler than some, but it's still pretty generic. The humans show up, they're done. They're dying. The dwarves and elves are like, all right, we're going to help you out. And they help them and save them. But then they get their own city, and then they're dying again. And the dwarves are all like, okay, we're going to help you out. So, it's certain races are more willing to align and teach their culture, and other races don't have any desire to learn another culture or accept another culture. And I think that those same races, like humans, dwarves, halflings, elves that are like, hey, yeah, here, we're able to do this. We believe in art and we believe in the beauty of the world. That's what chases an ogre into the evil side, is that they're not really art. They conquer, they fight. And in a civilized race, and I'm not saying ogres aren't civilized, but a civilized race like a human or dwarf's going to look at what they do and their brute culture and what does that look like that's what makes a race sometimes seen as evil, because the rest of the world views them that way, not because they are.
For me, it's usually cultural differences or failure to understand their culture. Like,
so, one thing I did like about the passives on the video that they put out is how the Scar have this bonus that scales with, or at least requires multiple Scar. So I really like the idea of like making an all Scar guild and just like running around as a pack. That seems really cool to me.
Yeah, out of any race, if you were to do that, they do seem like the best fit to have like a Scar guild. I know Micah's like, elves. No, Scar. And if that elf group, I'm going to be Scar. Scar warrior female. I'm going to eat dwarves. And no, sorry, not dwarves, elves. Dwarves will get me drunk.
I know the VOT's still working on going over some more of the racials, but I could sit here all night and talk about the Scars, but I'm not going to.
Fair.
I got two that I care about, and honestly, I'm happy with those. The run speed one, whatever.
Yeah. Well, not being feared, I'm sure you love.
Absolutely.
All right, Zoltar, thanks, man. Awesome. Thank you for wrapping up the show for us tonight and sticking in that chat with Chris down there. Thanks, man. I'm going to move you down. Well, that wraps us up. We hit our half hour there of overtime. You guys are awesome. Thank you, chat. You guys have been lighting it up. I didn't get to keep up at the very end there, but I'm going to go through a couple things and we'll wrap it up here, Lex. So someone said Mir seemed pretty weak. Somebody asked earlier, too, that Mir... who do they worship if they killed their god? They did. Somebody, Sterling, you did say they had a few gods. The Mir had a few.
I'm done with them. They'll worship me.
There you go. Careful. They killed their one that they love the most. Let's see here. Mir can be druid. Somebody said. Aaron said his first EQ tune was an Inky Shadow Knight. The difficulty was great. Do what you want, but I didn't necessarily play Inky just because, or Icky. I'm sorry, not Inky. Icky. Because of the evil aspect. They just kind of liked what they brought to the table, yeah. Sterling says, I do remember having to evac the occasional Ixar from Freeport. Yep, you get stuck.
If you were on Kazakh or Brel Sterelis, I'm sure one of them was me.
Solitude yelled out, Kitty. And by the way, once we announced that we were going to pull Solitude up here, she immediately left the green room. Someday.
See, she doesn't like me. I knew it.
No, I don't think it's you.
When we're done, I'm going to go cry in a corner.
The War Zealot, once again, he just doesn't get what he doesn't get about the Dark Mirrors. That was the who do they worship. Ex Mako said ogres are a bit more tribal. And then Sterling said, yeah, there's a bunch of different tribes that follow one of 6 tombs of their religion. So there's a lot to the ogres. It's actually interesting. Right. Maybe they won't be evil.
I look at the ogres as they're not evil. They appreciate a good fight.
You know, I'm interested. I'm interested to see. I think they're going to be evil. I think the 3 evil races are going to be Scar, ogres, and Darkmere. But let's see. You know, that's what we're guessing right now. So could change. So I'm in the middle. If I play a warrior, I will probably be a Scar warrior. So my tank will be a Scar warrior. That will be a definite. So I might be evil. I have to get there. I'm going to be a rogue. I have to be a gnome. They're the coolest things in the world. So, and the only thing I can see myself being a gnome in is either an enchanter or a wizard. And I really want to play a wizard. So oddly, I'm going to have 2 DPS characters possibly as my main and my alt, which is weird to me.
That's not a bad thing.
It feels dirty. I've always been a tanker healer. I've always been a tanker healer. Feels dirty.
There's nothing wrong playing 2 DPS because
feels dirty.
A lot of people I know do that because they'll play a rogue and a range because you never know when there's going to be a patch and suddenly one's not as viable as the other.
Yeah, right. Izand said, not really digging the gnomes. They're so cool.
They're very unique, and I will appreciate that, but I will never play one.
You can't eat them.
No, but they can power my flashlight.
Well, guys, once again, I want to thank everybody. We had a great turnout tonight. The chat was, you guys in the chat are the stars of the show, and the people who jump in green room and are willing to get on here and talk. We have some awesome people who do it every week. Everyone in chat, you are welcome to come in here when you can. Please get on here, use your voice, be heard. That's my catchphrase I'm trying to make happen. And thank you guys a lot for the feedback on the show in the future with the Pantheon official show coming. It looks like maybe we'll just keep it on Thursdays, and if it's only going to be a half hour, we'll jump on right after and get going just like we are now. So you guys are awesome. That makes me feel a little better. I like Thursday nights. I definitely do. So Lex, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, anytime, my friend, anytime.
Dude, I always have fun chatting with you about stuff. I love your perspective. It's different than mine, but we always find a way to be able to relate, and it's awesome. And I do thank you for obviously welcoming me into the community at the beginning. And I think since the first time we've talked, we've spent quite a bit of time since. So, and I don't think we've ever gotten too mad at each other yet.
No, but I know I say this a lot when I'm on other people's shows, but this is the only community where I can actively disagree or even dislike somebody, but I can still sit down and have a conversation with them.
It is an awesome community. And there are many people who talk to me now who hated my guts, probably because my original videos blasted their ears out because the audio was so bad. So I get it. Thank you guys. Another awesome episode of Pantheon PlusYou. Keep your eyes out when we'll have a video coming out. I haven't done a video in a while. I'm having a lot of fun making a pre-made video, so that'll be out probably in the next week or so, talking about the racials and best race class combos. And be sure to follow Leksur and see what he's up to, especially with this crazy streaming stuff. It'll be a lot of fun. Thank you guys. I'm going to end it there. As always, you guys are absolutely incredible. Thank you for showing up, and thanks for being an awesome community.